Deep within the earth, a secret slept. Buried beneath tons of rock and sand, it waited. Not alive, not dead. Existing in the darkness, a relic of a forgotten time. A small statue carved from obsidian lay nestled amongst the decaying finery of an ancient Egyptian tomb. Its smooth, polished surface was cold to the touch. It depicted a forgotten god, a deity of shadows and misfortune. The eyes of the statue, crafted from rubies, seemed to glint with an inner malevolence. Legends whispered of the statue, passed down through generations of tomb robbers. They told of a curse, dark and swift, that befell anyone who dared to touch it. The whispers spoke of bad luck, of accidents and misfortune that plagued those who sought to profit from the statue's existence. But the whispers also spoke of something far worse. They spoke of death, a fate that awaited those foolish enough to tempt the statue's curse. For centuries, the statue remained undisturbed, lost to the world, entombed with its secrets. But the desert sands shift, revealing their secrets to the greedy and the desperate. It was discovered by a band of treasure hunters, their hearts filled with greed and their eyes blinded by the promise of riches. They paid no heed to the whispers of the wind. They laughed at the legends, dismissing them as mere superstition. The statue, they believed, would bring them great fortune. They would sell it to the highest bidder, retire in luxury, and never have to worry about money again. They were wrong. The curse was real, and it was waiting for them. The shadow of the vulture had fallen upon them. The statue changed hands many times. Each exchange was swift, shrouded in fear and regret. Whispers of the statue's curse followed it like a shadow. It eventually found its way into the hands of a wealthy collector named Alistair Winthrop. Winthrop was a man obsessed with the occult. He had a vast collection of artifacts, each one with its own dark history. He believed he was immune to such superstitions. He scoffed at the idea of a curse. To him, the statue was a prize, a testament to his wealth and his discerning taste. He placed it on a pedestal in his study, admiring its craftsmanship and the way the ruby eyes seemed to gleam in the dim light. He dismissed the whispers of the wind as the ramblings of fools. He would soon learn that the whispers were not to be ignored. At first, Winthrop paid these incidents no mind. He was a man of logic and reason. He refused to believe that a mere statue could be the cause of his misfortune. But the incidents continued, and they grew increasingly worse. His investments, once profitable, began to sour. He lost a significant sum of money in a risky venture. His health, once robust, began to deteriorate. He suffered from a persistent cough and a nagging pain in his chest. His sleep, once peaceful, was now plagued by nightmares. He would wake in a cold sweat, the feeling of unseen eyes watching him linger long after he had opened his own. The artifacts, once objects of fascination, now filled him with a sense of unease. He began to hear whispers, faint at first, barely audible. They seemed to emanate from the statue's ruby eyes. They spoke of his impending doom. They mocked his arrogance, his disbelief. They told him that he could not escape his fate. Winthrop tried to ignore the whispers. He told himself they were figments of his imagination, brought on by stress and lack of sleep. But the whispers persisted. They grew louder, more insistent. They followed him everywhere he went, haunting his waking hours and invading his dreams. One night, as he lay in bed, unable to sleep, he heard the whispers again. They were clearer now, more distinct. He could almost make out words. They were speaking his name. Panic seized Winthrop. He could no longer ignore the chilling presence of the statue. Its curse was tightening its grip, dragging him towards an abyss of despair. He decided to rid himself of the obsidian menace. He would auction it off, pass the curse onto some other unfortunate soul. News of the statue's sale spread through the city's underbelly. Collectors, driven by a morbid curiosity and the allure of the forbidden, whispered amongst themselves. They gathered at the auction, their eyes gleaming with avarice and apprehension. The auctioneer, oblivious to the palpable tension in the room, presented the obsidian figure with feigned enthusiasm. Bids came in swiftly, each one a desperate attempt to own a piece of history, a piece of the unknown. Finally, the hammer fell. A gaunt woman, her face hidden behind a veil, had won the cursed prize. The days following the auction were filled with a nervous anticipation for Winthrop. He expected the curse to return, to reclaim him as its own. But the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months. The whispers faded, replaced by an unnerving silence. Could he be free? He tried to resume his life, to find solace in his collection and his routines. But the shadow of the statue lingered. He saw it in the reflection of his now tarnished silverware, felt its presence in the cold drafts that snaked through his mansion. Sleep, once a distant memory, offered no escape. The nightmares had been replaced by a chilling emptiness. One dreary afternoon, a crumpled letter arrived, delivered by a trembling courier. It was from the woman who had bought the statue. Guilt and dread gnawed at Winthrop's conscience. He had hoped to escape the curse, but it had only tightened its grip, spreading its tendrils to ensnare another victim. He realized with a sinking heart that he was not free. He was bound to the statue, marked for death. He had to break the curse, to end the cycle of suffering. But how? The whispers, once faint and distant, returned with a vengeance. They taunted him, reminding him of his folly, his arrogance. They offered no solutions, only the chilling promise of his demise. Driven by desperation and a glimmer of hope, Winthrop delved into ancient texts, seeking answers in the forgotten lore of Egyptian curses. He spent countless nights hunched over crumbling scrolls, his eyes burning from exhaustion and the flickering candlelight. The answer, he believed, lay hidden within the cryptic symbols and faded ink. He discovered tales of sacrifices, of rituals meant to appease angered deities. Winthrop, his face pale and gaunt, his eyes bloodshot from sleepless nights, stood before the obsidian statue. He had found it, the ritual to break the curse, an ancient incantation whispered through the ages, promising release from the vulture's shadow. He had gathered the necessary components, rare herbs, a silver chalice, and a single raven's feather. The air in the room was heavy, thick with the scent of incense and fear. His hands trembled as he lit the candles, their flickering flames casting grotesque shadows on the walls. He began to chant, the ancient words feeling foreign and heavy on his tongue. The room grew colder, the shadows deepening as his voice rose in volume. He could feel the statue's presence, malevolent and hungry, pushing back against his efforts. He continued chanting, his voice a desperate plea echoing in the darkness. He could feel a presence in the room with him, cold and menacing, circling him like a predator stalking its prey. The air crackled with unseen energy, raising goosebumps on his skin. Suddenly the ruby eyes of the statue dimmed, their malevolent glow fading to a dull ember. Winthrop felt a surge of hope. Could it be working? Was the curse breaking? He poured more of the liquid onto the statue, his voice growing stronger, fueled by a desperate hope. The room was plunged into an eerie silence. The air, once heavy and oppressive, felt lighter, as if a great weight had been lifted. Winthrop held his breath, his heart pounding in his chest. He dared to believe that he had been successful. Then the light vanished. Winthrop lowered his hand, blinking away the afterimages. The statue stood on its pedestal, seemingly unchanged. But something was different. The ruby eyes, once filled with malevolence, were dull and lifeless. The statue no longer held him in its thrall. He reached out a trembling hand and touched the cold obsidian surface. Nothing happened. He felt no chill, no sense of dread. The curse was broken. He had escaped the vulture's shadow. But as he turned to leave, a searing pain shot through his chest. Silence descended upon the mansion. The whispers that had haunted its halls were gone. The statue, once malevolent, now stood inert, its ruby eyes dulled. The curse was broken, but at a terrible cost. His lifeless hand lay outstretched, reaching for the obsidian figure. The mansion now felt like a mausoleum. The obsidian statue, once again an orphan, found its way back into the world. Passed from collector to collector, each transaction shrouded in secrecy. Its story, whispered in hushed tones, added to its allure. It surfaced briefly in a dingy antique shop. A young couple purchased it, unaware of the evil they had invited. Their joy was short-lived. Their dreams turned into nightmares, haunted by the specter of the vulture. The whispers persist. Carried on the wind, they weave through time and space, a chilling testament to the curse, a reminder that some things are best left undisturbed, buried in the sands of time. The obsidian statue, a harbinger of misfortune, leaves a trail of broken lives. The past is never truly gone, echoes of ancient curses in the flicker of a candle flame. Remember, some doors are meant to remain closed, some secrets better left buried.